Pokémon Legends CA has been out for quite some time now, and I can say personally I love the game. I love the Mega Evolutions, the characters, the lore, and the lore is what we're going to be focusing on in today's video. Hello everyone, and thank you for coming back to my channel. My name is Lane, and today we're going to be focusing on where Pokemon Legends ZA actually falls in on the overall Pokemon timeline. So not too long ago I actually made a video about where I thought it was predicted to be in the main series timeline, and I can actually say I was probably incorrect. So I initially thought that Pokemon Legends ZA was going to be in the way future, like at least a decade past, but per in-game timeline, we actually find out that it's a lot sooner than what we actually thought. So we are told several times throughout the story by numerous different characters that this game takes place 5 years after the event of Pokemon X and Y, which is freaking crazy to me. Like, I was expecting at least minimum a decade, just due to the technology, the different city environments and all of that. The city has made massive strides in growth and characters have changed a lot in a very short period of time. But hey, Pokemon does what Pokemon do, and that is evolve. So, we can definitely place Legends ZA here. Or here. Wait, maybe here? So, we don't know when the Alola games, the Galar games, or the Paldea games take place. These games could be years, decades after X and Y. We know that these games take place in this order though, based off of the in-game evidence. We see characters in the Alola games that appear in X and Y, like Cena and Dexio, who have aged in their appearances, and refer to the events of X and Y. Then we see that the existence of Type Null and Savali in Sword and Shield. This is important because there are only 3 in Sun and Moon, and from its Pokedex in Sword and Shield, we do know that the notes were stolen from the Aether Foundation and more were created. Then we know that Scarlet and Violet happened after the events of Sword and Shield because the book that Sonia is writing during the main story is actually found in the library at the school you attend. But there is no set timeline in between any of this. So we don't know how many years between each of these games, or we don't know what happens in between them. All we just know is that it takes place here. It takes place Alola, Galar, Paldea. So during the main story, we are doing jobs for Corbeau when we are confronted by a group called the Society of Battle Connoisseurs, who is led by this absolute queen, Jacinthe? Jacinth? I don't know how to pronounce it, but hey, she's a queen. Before battling, the group mentions that they previously had a lecture from the previously undefeated champion of the Galar region, Leon. Key word here is that he was the previously undefeated champion, which means that at the time of this game, he has been defeated. This is huge for the timeline. So we know that ZA takes place 5 years after X and Y, which means that based off of what we currently know, Sun and Moon and the Galar games happen within that 5-year time frame, which is massive. That is massive, since before it was just an open-ended, like, oh, it could have been 2 decades, it could have been 1,000 years. It wouldn't have been 1,000 years, but you get what I'm saying. So I cannot underestimate how big this is for our timeline to be able to establish a time frame like this. Before this, we were just assuming it happened at some point, but now we do know for a fact that it is within a 5-year period. So then, what about Scarlet and Violet? This is extremely hard to place. The important events of Scarlet and Violet, that being the climax of events at Area 0, whether that be the climax of events with Nimona, Penny, and Arven, or the climax with Carmine and Kieran in the DLC, they're all secretive, they're all hidden, it's all classified information. La Primera, Gita, and Rika state that everything down there is off limits in the Indigo Disc and give off an air of secrecy about it. I mean, the main group isn't meant to go down there, but they do it anyways. There isn't even the mention of the Paradox Pokemon, which is a huge selling point for these games. Everything else can exist in the vacuum here. Characters are alive and live mundane lives. The only direct mention I have found of the characters in Vita, where they are talking about her directly referring to her as La Primera. So, that could really be any time frame. During the events of Scarlet and Violet, or after, or before. If my theory about Corbeau being Carmine and Kieran's father is correct, that still doesn't really seem to help us that much. We know that Corbeau has been to Kalos for at least 5 years leading up to the event, since he was helped by Lysander, to get the rest of the kids started up. Kieran is stated to be 14 in the French version of Scarlet and Violet, so it is possible that he left Kitakami when the kids were younger, but you kind of get the feeling that Corbeau has been in Kalos for a lot longer than 5 years. So this is kind of hard to use as evidence in support of him being connected to that. I truly think that the one link that they will have is if they bring a character from the Paldea region to the Kalos region and the Mega Dimensions DLC. Whether that be Kieran, Iono, I think Iono and Cadbury? Oh my gosh, Canary. Cadbury. Canary would be really, really iconic, and I think that that'd be really cool to see her in that art style. Or, honestly, bringing back Perrin as a photographer could even help us with the timeline. She could mention, oh, I've been to the Kitakami region recently, or I was traveling in Unova when I was in the Blueberry Academy. Like, you know, I think that those would both be really cool options. So, personally, just to mix it up, this is where I'm going to be placing it in my final theory for now, until we get more evidence about it in future games, future updates. I think that it's more interesting to break up the generation by generation and putting it right in the middle of something you weren't to be expecting. So, let me know what your thoughts, comments, theories, all of that are, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!